Think your snacks are getting smaller? You're not imagining it. This is what shrinkflation looks like in real life, and it sips everywhere.
Let's play Spot the Difference. Go on. It's absolutely outrageous. You ready for the answer? Look at the difference in how many there are. This is a prime example of shrinkflation. Let me explain it super quick. You've probably seen all the news about inflation, which is just a measure of the rising costs of everything around you. Shrinkflation, however, is where a product stays the same price but decreases its size, just like the penguin biscuits I just showed you. But they aren't the only culprits. Digestives, 9.5% smaller. Magnum ice creams, 9.1% smaller. Quality Street, 7.7% smaller. And probably the worst one of all, Lurpak, 20% smaller. So make sure you watch out for this when you go and shop and look out for the price per gram, as this will show you if you're getting less for your money.
Think you're buying 6 packs of crisps? Think again. Tesco shrinkflation is on another level, and here's proof.
Let's see what the shrinkflation is like at Tesco. Dairy Dunkers for $1.75 looks good until you realize they only have 3 in the pack when they used to have 4. You get a lot of these £1 or 95p sweet bags, and you can see there's just barely anything in there compared to the original bags. This is a cheap pack of 6 McCoys, however each bag is only 25 grams. However, a regular sized bag of McCoys is 45 grams, almost double. These fridge raiders are ridiculous. You get 5 in this bag, however each little packet is only 22.5 grams. There's barely anything in there. It's mainly air. You get like 5 bites. Remember crispy rolls? You can get a bar of this for 45p with a club card or 55p otherwise. And then you get these Mars bars and these Snickers multi-packs, 4 of them. Each bar is only 39 grams. That's tiny. And then this has become the standard size for a quote-unquote big chocolate bar, 90 grams for $1.50.
Shrinkflation has officially driven people to melt down. This next TikTok is part rant, part poetry, and totally relatable.
Aye, since flipping when? Say you flipping swear. What do you mean £1 for a freckle? Nah, first I'm seeing guys are holding people hostage in Lewisham. Now I'm seeing this. That's how you know this country's good. Bro, back in the day, this thing was going for 17p. This was a nation's favorite. Where did it all go wrong? I'll be real, I should have known this country is cooked from when I started seeing shops selling this for £2 when it used to be £1, bro. And even when I started seeing shops selling this for £1 when it used to be 59p. I remember them days very clearly. And even from when I started seeing gourmet premium meal deals for £5.50. What's the difference? Oh, the sandwich has a silver wrapper around it. And you'd think at least with all these price rises that at least we're getting more money, right? Wages have gone up, right? Well, did this. This was from 2008, right? Cool. When Freddos used to be 17p, when meal deals used to be around £3, maybe even less, but I hate. Look where we are! We're barely even making any more!
Shrinkflation sips not just annoying anymore. For some, it feels like an insult, and this next clip captures just how far the frustration is going.
If you thought your shopping bags were feeling a little lighter, could be because more and more products are getting smaller. Mouthwash, tea bags and sausages are among the supermarket staples that have been downsized, thanks to so-called shrinkflation. The manufacturers look to cut costs.
Oh, God. So they make millions in profits, but they still need to cut costs and rip us off and just get away with it like nothing's happened. So basically, shrinkflation means your products get made smaller, but they charge more. So no, if they're not reducing the costs, they're making them smaller and they're going to charge you more. So for example, this bunch of bananas, say it costs 50p, they'll take 2 bananas out of it and charge you 70p. More and more companies and more products are going to get onto this because they're thinking, it's not a bad idea that. Just another little thing to rip us off, to take more money off us, to off. It's like council tax. Council tax this year has risen again to the maximum it can. But guess what? You're getting reduced services. So you're paying more for less. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I don't know how long this can carry on before people start retaliating and causing havoc, because at the day, I cannot wait for it to happen, because I'll be there at the front. We need to do something, people. Go and sign that petition what I've put up today about general election. Madness.
Forget the cost of living crisis, it's now the cost of sipping crisis. Your milkshake's smaller than an iPhone.
What is actually going on in the world? Because a couple of weeks ago, I bought a fridge milkshake, which I swear to God used to be under £1. Not only this, but there's only 330 millilitres of milkshake in this bottle now. The bottle has quite literally shrunk in size. So for anybody that doesn't believe in the cost of living crisis, take a look. What on earth is going on in the House of Commons? £1.30 for 330 millilitres of milkshake. First it was Freddo's, and now fridge milkshakes are quite honestly shrinking. As you can see, my iPhone is quite literally taller than the bottle of milkshake. And I find the brand actually very sneaky because the original size of the bottles were 500 millilitres. It was then reduced to 471 millilitres, and then reduced again to 400 millilitres, before going right down to 330 millilitres in 2023. Now, I know that this is produced by Muller, so should we be taking a look at their other products as well? In 2019, there was an article released to say that their yogurts were 175 grams and now 160 grams. What the?
I have a very quick public service announcement for anyone whose children are obsessed with these. Freddo's. Now, we all know back in the 90s, these were about 10p each. Our kids will only eat Freddo's. They don't want any other sort of chocolate. If they want a chocolate treat, it's a Freddo every time. So we buy these a lot. In fact, in our Tesco order, I think we were the top 1% of the population for buying them. Anyway, we buy them a lot. Normally, they come as a pack of 5 for £1.40. I'm going to use Tesco as an example here. 5 Freddos, £1.40. Fine. I went to Tesco's yesterday, picked up a pack and went, oh, this looks a bit smaller. They've now reduced it to 4. Fine. Okay. Cost of living, shrinkflation, all of that. Not pleased about it, but it is what it is. My children won't survive without them. But then I turn round to the other side of the Tesco aisle where they have like I'm going to call it loose chocolate, you know, where you can just buy 1 or 2. One single Freddo on its own, 30p. And I thought, hold on, so if I buy 4 single loose Freddos, that's going to cost me £1.20. If I buy a multi-pack of 4, which theoretically, multi-packs to me mean saving money, it will be 20p more expensive. This information may be useful for absolutely no one else other than myself, but if you're buying Freddos, don't buy them in a multi-pack. Just buy them singly. Thank you. Goodbye.
More shrinkflation. Now, I have bought these for a very long day in the mountains tomorrow. Not that I have to justify myself, but I think a lot of us are familiar with these lovely bars, which used to be £1, and they're up to 125. And that's just the way it is. But then I noticed the till today, I got that, which is always my favourite, but I noticed at the till today, they had, oh, this! Slightly new packaging, smooth mint, new flavour. Oh, right, okay. Well, do you know what? I'll give that a try. So when I lifted it, I was in the bag, when I lifted it out of the bag at home, and I thought, I'm actually going to check. So the original bar, 135 grams. The new bar, 110. So you can be pretty sure that all of these ones with the paper and the foil, that packaging is probably going to start getting phased out. With this, you'll think it's just new packaging, but no, it's bloody smaller.
I was in Tesco today, and there's nothing that unusual about that, is there? Somebody doing their weekly shop. Sort of breeze through the chocolate aisle really quickly because I'm not really eating chocolate at the moment, although I am partial to a certain quite small chocolate bar, and that is the old Curly Whirly. Now, it said new and improved, or new, or something like that anyway. And I thought, oh, right, okay, let's have a look. Let's see what is different and new about the Curly Whirlies. And what it is that they now come in a pack of 4 instead of a pack of 5 and a £1.45, whereas they used to be £1.20 for 5. Wow, what an absolute rip-off. Do people think we're absolutely stupid or something? What's going on? Awful.
This next clip might sound like a rant, but it's the reality many in the UK are feeling. Prices are rising, and people are reaching breaking points.
I'll tell you something. I was watching this thing on Facebook before. It's called Auditing Britain. And this guy caught policemen, police ladies, catching a man stealing out the shops. He had a jumper full of multi-pack of Twixes, the biggest Red Bull cans you can get. I don't know how he got so much down his jumper, but you know what? He looked like a nice man. He was polite. He looked like he'd been through a hard time. Didn't look homeless, but didn't look, well off. So it's probably in between the both. What I'm trying to say here is that's going to happen a hell of a lot more. In this country, what the do they expect? What do they expect? Prices going as high as they are, people losing jobs, inflation, blah, 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 blah. Keep hiking the prices up. Tell you what, we're going to hike the prices up, and we're also going to give you 1 bin collection a month now. Yeah, you do all your recycling. We're going to put the council tax up though. We're going to put that up. Yeah, we're going to put that up. But this guy had so much stuff in his jumper, and he didn't know what to say. He was embarrassed, but also didn't care at the same time. They can't lock him up. They can't really arrest him. How are they going to arrest someone these days for doing that? When they release statements like, we've got to get people out the prisons to make room for serious offenders, or we've got no room in prisons, we're going to have to start releasing people. Another great tactic. And you just tell everyone that we're going to release all the naughty people from prisons, and then also that'll allow people to go, you know what, who gives a shit if I'm stealing stuff from the shops? Now, I don't know if you've seen this post, but all I'm saying is, right, it's going to get worse. The next 5-10 years time, when people who've bought all their new houses now, these big cars, everything's on finance, everything's leased, everything's mortgaged up to the absolute eyeballs, and I'm not having a go at anyone, because we all want those things, and we all work for those things. But another 5 or 10 years time, a big percentage of them people are going to be hit hard. Going to be hit hard when them prices go higher, them interest rates rise, inflation, £4 for a Twix probably in a year's time, £5 for a can of Red Bull. That's the way it's going. What else do they expect? Honestly. Have you seen that video or what?
I don't think there's a person on the planet that hasn't talked about the shrinking of the celebration stub. But let's see this in real life. 2011 is the expiry on this box. 2022 is the expiry on this box. 2025 is the expiry on this box. Brother, look at this. It's a tiered cake. This is a celebrations wedding cake at this point in time. Are you taking the piss?
So people, let's talk about a little bit about shrinkflation. I just went to Tesco and get these ones, one of my favorite snacks. And then I noticed something a bit different. We have new packaging. Yes, new one. It even says out here, with new paper tray. So we are saving the planet. And if we take a look at them, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But if you remember the old packaging, and I bet you can buy it somewhere, they used to be 9. There used to be plastic packaging with 3 separate departments. On each of them, there were 3 of them. And if we look back of the box, back of the box, it says right here, 8 biscuits. Same price, 8 biscuits. New packaging.
When people say the system is broken, this is what they mean. From water to Royal Mail, here's how some believe profit has replaced public service in the UK.
It's always, we'll have to put 40 grams less Ritz crackers in the box, and not, we'll have to accept making a little less profit for our shareholders this year. It's always, we've had to reduce the pack size of 6 slices of ham down to 5 and increase the price, and never, we'll have to just accept that we're not making as much money anymore. Because the only thing that matters in the UK is if the big corporations get their profits, ever increasing profits year after year, because the shareholders are the most important people in the world, not the people that actually have to buy or eat the products or drink the water. On the subject of water, not a lot of people actually understand what has happened with our water system. What happened was Margaret Thatcher and her cronies sold it off to private capital at much less than it was actually worth. The people that had the capital got rich overnight. Generational wealth was created overnight when they bought the water companies. And then what they did, they weren't happy with just buying them. They then leveraged our water companies up to their eyeballs in debt, hundreds of millions of pounds worth of debt borrowed against the business, and then structured their business in such a way that they could dividend out most of that to the shareholders. They extracted all of the value that was in those businesses and left the customers paying the debt. Similar story with Royal Mail. I remember they got hedge fund managers in to help the government value Royal Mail, and then gave those hedge fund managers priority access to buy shares in the business before they were released to the general public, to retail investors. And of course, they valued it at about half, about £3 or something. It shot up to 6 or 7 overnight. The hedge funds and private capital doubled their money overnight, fortunes made overnight. And of course, they structured the deal whereas the taxpayer would continue to fund the loss-making part of Royal Mail, and the institutional investors and private capital got to buy the profitable part. Fast forward a few years, and the people that own Royal Mail are now saying, oh, look, it's not really sustainable for us to keep this level of service. You know, we might have to stop collecting on certain days or stop delivering on certain days. We might have to reduce the level of service we can offer. The whole neoliberal Tory experiment has gutted the UK and left us in debt with a worse quality of life, suffering the effect of worse services at the mercy of corporations that only care about profits.
Poundland, why are you advertising a 20 pack of plastic cups when there's like 17 in them? I counted. And then I tried to go to the next one, there's 18 in them. Didn't count anymore because they all look the same height. Why are you advertising a 20 pack when there's 17 or 18? It's really not that hard to put two more in, or just advertise as an 18 pack. But that's really false advertising, and like, I don't really have a choice, I have to buy it. But like, it's very frustrating. Like, regardless, we're going to buy it. Just be honest and put 18 pack on it.
Well, you know all about inflation. You've heard about shrinkflation. Get ready for the third wave, skimpflation. That's where companies skimp on you by using cheaper ingredients or cutting back on an expensive part of the product without telling you or without cutting the price. And the big example this week is Oreos. They've been accused of putting less cream filling in between the biscuits. So let's have a look. This is what people are upset with. Tell me if you think it makes sense. Now, the amount of cream in the biscuit, they say, has changed. It is a pretty long way away from the edge of the bicky. They reckon it used to be more in there. The actual package size has remained the same, but they're saying the biscuit itself has changed and probably become a little bit cheaper to make. Mondelez makes these biscuits, and the CEO has categorically denied skimpflation. He told the Wall Street Journal, and this is a direct quote, "We would be shooting ourselves in the foot if we started messing with the quality." But here's the problem. The cost of cocoa has gone up 65% in the last year. The cost of sugar up 55%. We're now talking about the highest prices we've seen in decades. Now, Mondelez sells 40 billion of these things around the world every year. So if it can skimp out in any way, it can save a lot of money. So we don't really know, but it seems entirely possible that skimpflation is going to become a bit of a big thing going forward. And that's a problem, because people already don't really trust these companies. They're on edge about being ripped off, and they're on the lookout for this sort of thing. I reckon it's going to become the big battleground in 2024, because turns out the stakes when it comes to a little bit of cream are actually pretty high.
My kids were gifted these yesterday or the day before by a grandparent, and we were like, great, shall we make cookies? The kids were super up for making cookies, and I got started, and then I looked, I needed to see how much they weighed, so I needed 200 grams of chocolate for the cookies, and I turned this one over first and was like, oh, okay, yeah, 110 grams, great. Then I turned this one over and saw it only had 100 grams, and they were bought at the exact same time for the exact same price. I just thought I would show you how this is shrinkflation at its finest. It's so sneaky, like, the Cadbury's have gone, oh, no one's going to notice 10 grams. We're going to charge the same price, but we are going to put 10 grams less in, and we can make more money. And honestly, it's things like this that just really, really bug me. I just wanted you to let you know, when your grocery shopping is becoming more and more expensive, but you're like, it's not going as far, just remember, shrinkflation is such a real thing. And 10 grams, no, it may not be much. You may not really notice it, but when that's around all of your food, you are going to notice it. And it happens every single day in all of our foods, whether it's fruit and veg, whether it's meat, whether it's confectionery. Mostly it is confectionery, but even 10 grams, you may not notice, but over a period of time, them 10 grams add up and they save the company billions of pounds, but they also mean that you are having to buy more to get the same amount of produce, to get the same amount of product. So I just thought this was so sneaky, and I was even holding them before I noticed the weight and was like, why does this one feel heavier than that one? I thought it was just in my imagination, because they looked, obviously we've opened them now, but they looked from the front close to exactly the same. There's a very slight colour difference that I'm noticing now. I just thought it was really interesting. Check your food, and please stop feeling so bad about your food bill going up so much, because you honestly have no control over it sometimes. This is one of the very many reasons I don't buy confectionery, because it's just so expensive for how much you get now. Cadbury's sneaky.
Since when has a dairy milk bar been 95 grams instead of 100? I don't want to seem like the biggest sweet tooth in the world there, but I like cracked open my bar and like took it out, and like these are so much smaller than how they used to be. Like, what is that? That is like shrinkflation at its finest. I was looking at the calories and I was like, okay, so considering that's per 100 grams, that means technically I'm on a diet if I have this whole bar and it's 95 grams. But no, it just made me realise that, no, I've bought this bar. Actually, I didn't. It was a gift. If I bought this bar, or whoever bought me this bar of chocolate has paid probably the same or more than it used to be for less chocolate.
Right, dears. So these are, well, some of my favourite biscuits. Okay, so like the chocolate almond, the biscuit, and it's all nice. And you used to get 9 biscuits in the packet. But of course, now they've changed the packaging. And it used to have like a wee little plastic tray in it, and you had 9 biscuits in it. There's now 8. And as you can see, there's clearly room for another biscuit. You dirty, evil, chocolate biscuit robbing bastards.
Oh mate, we're snacking the show, so I can't do my usual. What I'll do, I'll buy 2 of these and take them home just to show you what I'm talking about. Bastards. Okay. So here's the point I'm trying to make. If we undo this, and undo this one, put this in, you'll see how empty these are. It's quite deceiving to people, because they could get a cheaper brand what's more full. As you can see, I've almost done a quarter of this. It's still going like a good one. There you go. That's what robbing bastards personal are. And as you see where the finger is there, that's how much left. So that's what robbing bastards they are. It's a joke really, isn't it?
Aldi, could I have a word please? I picked up some eggs the other day. Large. Definitely large. I asked for large eggs. I opened the carton to see how large these eggs are, and that's how big it is. Now, I'm not being funny, but that looks like a small egg. Not even a medium, a small egg. What in the world has gone on with Aldi? On top of that, I'm doing my son a ham toasty, and the ham was so wafer thin, when I was peeling them apart, it started just ripping to pieces because they were that thin. Honestly, you would think that Aldi was running out of money and they were going bankrupt, but they're not. They're making a fortune, and the prices are increasing, so why are they trying to scam us? Dude, that is not a large egg, that's a medium. No, that's a small egg. That's a small egg. Change the carton to small, because that is not a large egg. On top of that, look at these meat sticks. Look. Where's the rest, mate? Where's the rest? I noticed recently that the size of the toothpaste seems to be shrinking. Like this, for example, it looks extremely tiny. And in comparison, here's the box. And yeah, it does look really, really small. I thought nothing of it until today when I opened it up. And yeah, it looks absolutely dinky.
When Cadbury's were shrinking the chocolate bars, they used the excuse of, to minimize sugar intake for kids to promote healthiness. Same with the pastries, making them smaller to reduce the fat content to promote a healthier lifestyle. But where's the benefit of having a smaller toothpaste? Or where's the benefit in that? It's all one blatant con to make more money. Honestly, the shrinkflation business is just pathetic. Everywhere you turn, you literally get less for your money.
Either I'm becoming a giant more than I am already, or everything in London is becoming smaller. The other day I ordered a flat white, and the next day I ordered an espresso, and tell me why it came in the same cup. I opened a bag of crisps and get hit with turbulence like I was on an EasyJet. The cookie pack from Sainsbury's, the 4 cookies, it looked like they were on Ozempic. This is becoming ridiculous, guys, and I'm tired. I'm tired of paying more for less.
Tesco's, you're on blast. Look at the size of this cookie, man. This is the size of a single one of my retinas. These cookies used to be the size of Jupiter. Cannot be legal. This is shrinkflation in action. Hide your kids, hide your wife. I'm about to riot. I demand a full refund of the £1.40 I spent on this 5-pack of cookies. Tesco, balls in your court.
Shrinkflation. Do you know what that is? No, it's not when I come out of a cold lake. It's when companies of all different industries, it could be health and wellness, food, for example, become greedy. They take advantage of their devout customers loving their products by now manufacturing the same product with less actual product in the packaging, but still charging you more for it. They're hoping you don't notice because it helps their bottom line. The bottom line is people are struggling to get by these days. More and more people are finding it difficult to afford shelter and food. What companies have you noticed charging more but giving you less product? I want to know.
I have a very quick public service announcement for anyone whose children are obsessed with these. Freddos. Now, we all know back in the 90s these were about 10p each. Our kids will only eat Freddos. They don't want any other sort of chocolate. If they want a chocolate treat, it's a Freddo every time. So we buy these a lot. In fact, in our Tesco order, I think we were the top 1% of the population for buying them. Anyway, we buy them a lot. Normally, they come as a pack of 5 for £1.40. I'm going to use Tesco as an example here. 5 Freddos, £1.40. Fine. I went to Tesco's yesterday, picked up a pack and went, oh, this looks a bit smaller. They've now reduced it to 4. Fine, okay. Cost of living, shrinkflation, all of that. Not pleased about it, but it is what it is. My children won't survive without them. But then I turn round to the other side of the Tesco aisle where they have like the, I'm going to call it loose chocolate, where you can just buy 1 or 2. One single Freddo on its own, 30p. And I thought, hold on, so if I buy 4 single loose Freddos, that's going to cost me £1.20. If I buy a multi-pack of 4, which theoretically, multi-packs to me mean saving money, it will be 20p more expensive. This information may be useful for absolutely no one else other than myself, but if you're buying Freddos, don't buy them in a multi-pack, just buy them singly. Thank you, goodbye.
You've probably noticed one of two things at the supermarket. Either the price of items has gone up or the price has stayed the same, but you're getting less. They call that shrinkflation. And Lisa Guerrero has some tricks on how you can beat it.
You're spending a lot more money at the supermarket these days.
$9.69 for some eggs, bro. That's not gonna work.
Of course, the vast majority of shoppers would never resort to this, swapping the price tags on all these cartons.
Scan these. Boom. 90 cents. Easy.
Giant size, family size, large size. Supermarket guru Phil Lempert says the way to legitimately beat skyrocketing prices is to shop smartly and be aware of what's called shrinkflation. They're advertising as if, hey, you're going to get this great value.
And it's not true.
Lempert says ignore the big flashy words scrolled across the box. Instead, the smarter way to shop is to pay attention to the small print.
We need to look at the net weight. We need to look at the unit prices.
Lempert says many companies have changed the size of the packaging, all in an effort to avoid raising prices. But Lempert says that often means they're actually giving you less than before.
Gatorade used to be 32 ounces. Now it's 28 ounces.
For the same price?
For the same price.
Everybody loves ice cream. What do you see here?
What I see is Ben & Jerry's. They're the only ones that are still 16 ounces in a pint-sized container. Haagen-Dazs and a lot of the other brands, same size container, but it's just 14 ounces.
Only 14 ounces in a pint?
Just about every company is doing this.
What about these Sun-Maid raisins?
Well, they reduced the package size by about 2.5 ounces.
That might not sound like a lot.
68, 69, 70.
But it really means you're paying the same price as you did before, but getting 70 fewer raisins. And it's not just food.
In the case of Ultra Soft Charmin, there's 20 sheets less per roll.
Lempert says this 2-pack of Crest 3D White contains 30 less uses. So how can you avoid falling victim to shrinkflation? Lempert says buy in bulk and stick to the store brands. You'll save a fortune.
But does it taste the same?
Yes.